The American Secretary of State Marco Rubio has said that he will not be attending the Group of 20 talks this month in South Africa. Now, Marco Rubio said that he is in fact skipping the event because the host government had what he claims is anti-American agenda. Now, the announcement has come just 2 days after President Donald Trump lashed out at the South African president for the recent land reforms. In a post on the social media site X, Marco Rubio claimed that he would boycott the G20 talks of foreign ministers in Johannesburg on the 20th of February. Rubio wrote, and I quote him here, "South Africa is doing some very bad things, expropriating private property." He also added that South Africa was using G20 to promote solidarity, equality and sustainability. In other words, DEI and climate change, values that America under Trump does not stand for anymore. The DEI, which stands for diversity, equity and inclusion, has been attacked relentlessly as a matter of policy by the Trump administration. Earlier, Donald Trump had asserted that South Africa was confiscating land, accusing Pretoria of treating certain classes of people very badly. Now, Trump had also threatened to cut funding to the country. So why is the American president accusing his South African counterpart of an anti-America or anti-Trump agenda? A political analyst from Johannesburg decodes. Listen in.
South Africa is a key ally within BRICS, and I think you've seen that BRICS influence is growing. A number of new countries are joining. South Africa does not support American stance on Israel, and we know where Trump stands on Israel. South Africa took Israel to the Hague and, got a judgment against what's happening, in terms of the genocide there. And I think South Africa is seen as a key ally of China as well. So definitely Trump is threatened. South Africa is hosting the presidency of the G20 for this whole year. We know that's a powerful grouping of foreign ministers, and you come together to decide on what's happening around the world. I think Trump is, I wouldn't say is afraid, but I think, there's a sense of South Africa is pushing above its weight and getting too close to people that America does not want it to be close to. I think it's influence.
The South African President Cyril Ramaphosa rejected Donald Trump's claims and has said that he is ready to explain his government's land reforms policy to his U.S. counterpart. On Tuesday, Ramaphosa in fact spoke with top Trump ally Elon Musk and raised concerns about the disinformation that was being deliberately spread in the United States by the American president himself. Land ownership is a contentious issue in South Africa, with most farmland still owned by the white people 3 decades after the end of apartheid. The government is currently under pressure to implement the reforms. Now, the absence of the United States, the world's largest economy, would of course mark a major blow to the G20, which is meant to represent the world's largest economies. And our correspondent Calden Ong, who's been tracking the story very closely from Johannesburg, has sent us this report. Listen in.
The first important meeting of G20 foreign ministers will kick off in Johannesburg on February 20th. South African government says they are looking forward to host all member states, but this morning on a social media platform X, U.S. Secretary of the State Marco Rubio wrote that he will not be attending the G20 summit in Johannesburg, reiterating what President Trump has said, that South Africa is doing very bad things, expropriating private property. In a statement, South Africa's Foreign Affairs Minister, Ronald Lamola, said he has noted the tweet and said there is no arbitrary disposition of land or private property in South Africa, and that South Africa's G20 presidency is not confined to just budgeting, but also equitable treatment for nations of the Global South, ensuring an equal global system for all. He said South Africa remains open to engage with the U.S. On Wednesday, presidency spokesperson Vincent Magwenya confirmed that conversation is already taking place at various levels between U.S. and South Africa on issues relating to PEPFAR aid, and also refuting some mischaracterization of South Africa and application of the country's laws. He even added that President Ramaphosa's intention is to welcome President Trump on a state visit ahead of G20, which will afford the two to engage on various issues. This is Calden Olmo from Johannesburg, South Africa for WION World is One.
The war continues to rage in the mineral-rich African nation of the Democratic Republic of Congo. The Rwandan forces, along with the M23 rebels, continue to make advances on the Eastern Front as the ceasefire has collapsed even before coming into effect. This comes just days before the Rwandan and the Congolese presidents are due to attend a crisis summit. Heavy fighting is taking place in the country's southern Kivu province after the M23 rebels seized control of a mining town that is Nyabive. It takes the rebels a step closer to the provincial capital Bukavu that is located some 70 kilometers south.
The situation in South Kivu is also particularly concerning, with heavy fighting reported along the main route between in Bukavu. Tensions are rising as the M23 moves closer.
Nyabive is a commercial hub more than halfway between Goma and Bukavu, where mines produce gold, coltan and other metals. The rebels in fact took control of Goma last week and held the first rally in the city headed by the chief of a coalition group, Corneille Nangaa. The rebel capture of Goma triggered the displacement of thousands of people and fanned fears of a wider regional war. The city was plunged into chaos with bodies lying in the streets and missiles reportedly flying over the residential homes. At least about 2,000 bodies have been recovered from the streets of Goma in recent days. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.